headquarters, and he's been temporarily replaced as head of France's Renault. Ghosn has not yet responded publicly to the allegations, but I'll tell you what, these allegations, they are really piling up.
Yeah, not looking good for him.
Yeah.
All right, Early Start continues right now.
He may be the first president in quite some time to face the real prospect of jail time.
President Donald Trump dipping into his playbook of distraction and denial as the Mueller investigation ramps up.
The president looking for a new chief of staff to replace John Kelly. Why his top pick passed on the job.
I can't breathe. The final words of Jamal Khashoggi. What else transcripts reveal about his murder?
Touchdown! Kenyon Drake! A miracle!
An incredible play by the Miami Dolphins. How they pulled off a win with no time left on the clock. It's the Miami Miracle on a Monday, or if you're waking up in Boston this morning and reading the Boston Globe, it's immaculate dejection, which hurts. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Early Start. I'm Dave Briggs.
Good morning. I'm Allison Cossack. It's Monday, December 10th. It's 5 a.m. in the East, and the White House operating under entirely new circumstances this week, now that the Justice Department has clearly implicated President Trump in a crime. Prosecutors in New York saying the president directed his former lawyer, Michael Cohen, to break campaign finance laws, making illegal hush payments to two women who claimed they had affairs with Mr. Trump. The special counsel's team revealed new contacts between Trump associates and Russia, including a Russian national offering government-level political synergy. Mueller's team also explained they dropped their plea agreement with former campaign chairman Paul Manafort because he lied about contacts with a Russian intelligence official.
In this environment, Democrats are no longer quite as cautious about using the word impeachment.
They would be impeachable offenses. Whether they are important enough to justify an impeachment is a different question, but certainly they'd be impeachable offenses.
The president has now stepped into the same territory that ultimately led to President Nixon resigning the office. President Nixon was an unindicted co-conspirator.
The Washington Post reporting anxiety is spiking among Republicans. They worry the White House has no real plan to deal with the accelerating Mueller probe. Here's CNN's Sarah Westwood from the White House.
Well, Dave and Allison, the president spent this weekend going after the Paris Climate Accords, railing against his former FBI director, calling for an end to the Russia investigation, and basically talking about anything other than prosecutors claiming in court filings submitted Friday that the president directed his former attorney, Michael Cohen, to make a pair of illegal payments during the presidential race. Now, Trump has attempted to tout these latest documents as vindication because they didn't contain evidence of Russian collusion, but they did link the president directly to payments that he initially denied knowledge of. That's those payments to two women who tried to come forward during the presidential election with allegations of affairs. Now, all of this comes against the backdrop of a major staff shakeup. The president announced Saturday that John Kelly, his White House chief of staff, would be leaving the administration by the end of the year. And his first choice for that job, Nick Ayers, the current chief of staff to Vice President Mike Pence, will also be leaving the administration after nearly accepting the role as Kelly's replacement. Our colleague Caitlin Collins reports that Ayers and Trump had discussed the prospect of Pence's chief of staff replacing Kelly, but Ayers wanted to do it on a temporary basis, and the president wanted a 2-year commitment from Ayers. Now, CNN is told that the president is considering 4 names to replace Kelly. One of them may be Republican Congressman Mark Meadows. He's a close ally of the president's on Capitol Hill. And CNN is also told that the president aims to make this decision by the end of the year. David, Allison.
Okay, Sarah Westwood, thanks very much. According to special counsel Robert Mueller, Paul Manafort lied about 5 major issues after agreeing to cooperate with prosecutors, including his interactions with a man named Konstantin Kilimnik. Mueller says Kilimnik has ties to the Russian intelligence unit that hacked the Democrats during the 2016 campaign. CNN's Fred Pleitgen is live for us from Moscow. Good morning to you. What more can you tell us about Kilimnik?
Hi, Allison. He was a very important figure to Paul Manafort. He worked for Manafort for a very long time in Eastern Europe. Specifically, they did business in Ukraine with a then pro-Russian Ukrainian government, and then also with a Russian oligarch who reportedly has ties to Vladimir Putin. Now, all this becomes interesting for the Manafort, for the investigation, for the Mueller investigation, because Manafort allegedly lied about meeting with Klimnik in 2016 when he was the head of the Trump campaign. Now, keep in mind, the Mueller investigation says this man Klimnik has ties to Russian intelligence at a time when Russian intelligence was actively meddling in the U.S. election process. So that, of course, is a big problem. And then also, apparently, Klimnik also tried to tamper with witnesses after Manafort got arrested. And just a couple of minutes ago, Allison, I promised you we'd get reaction for you from the Kremlin. That's now come through. We just spoke to Dmitry Peskov, who is the spokesman for Vladimir Putin, about this. He said, a little bit unnerved, "We are quite tired of following these, quote, jaw-dropping investigations. And secondly, we don't even know these persons mentioned in the investigation, these new names, so I have nothing to say to this." So as you can see, the Kremlin not really too happy about having to comment on this. We've seen that in a pattern with a lot of Russian politicians who really seem to be quite frustrated about this investigation, the way it's moving forward. And they also believe that it's also stopping an improvement in U.S.-Russian relations as well.
You know, it seems like every day we learn a new name. It's almost like this spider web of names. I can imagine what the flowchart in Mueller's office looks like. Fred Blanken, thanks so much.
All right, James Comey calling outright for President Trump's defeat in 2020. The former FBI director interviewed on stage last night at New York City's famed 92nd Street Y, and he practically begged Democrats to set aside their differences and nominate a candidate who's best equipped to beat Trump.
All of us should use every breath we have to make sure that the lying stops on January 20th, 2021.
Those comments coming after the president tweeted without evidence that Comey lied to the House Judiciary Committee 245 times last week. The former FBI director spent 6 hours behind closed doors Friday answering questions mostly about Hillary Clinton's emails.
According to transcripts of the session, Comey was asked by Democrat Jerry Nadler whether he is best friends with Robert Mueller, as President Trump claims. Comey responds, "I am not. I admire the heck out of the man, but I don't know his phone number. I've never been to his house. I don't know his children's names. I think I had a meal once alone with him in a restaurant." Nadler replies, referring to a Trump claim, "I will not ask whether you've ever hugged and kissed him." Comey responds, "A relief to my wife."
Yes, indeed. Breaking overnight, Jerome Corsi has filed suit against Robert Mueller in federal court. The conspiracy theorist and Roger Stone associate has already testified before the special counsel's grand jury and is refusing to sign a plea deal. In his lawsuit, he claims Mueller threatened to indict him and put him in federal prison effectively for the rest of his life unless he provided the false testimony he says Mueller is demanding. Corsi alleges Mueller still wanted the testimony even after he was informed it would be false. He also alleges federal authorities unconstitutionally searched his electronic records and phone. Corsi's lawsuit seeks $350 million in damages.
The New York Times reports President Trump's son-in-law and senior advisor Jared Kushner offered Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman advice on how to, quote, weather the storm after the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. White House protocol requires that National Security Council staff be present on all phone calls with foreign leaders. But the Times reports Kushner and bin Salman continued chatting informally following the Washington Post columnist's death. In a statement, a White House spokesman told the Times, quote, "Jared has always meticulously followed protocols and guidelines regarding the relationship with MBS and all of the other foreign officials with whom he interacts."
All right, ahead, French President Emmanuel Macron meeting right now with political and business leaders and unions after a fourth weekend of violent protests. Live in Paris. Next.
Everyone wants a healthy white smile, but the fact is, just brushing your teeth is not enough. Now there's a better solution. This is the revolutionary Waterpik Water Flosser. It removes up to 99.9% of plaque from treated areas and is up to 50% more effective than string flossing. Brushing, even with an electric toothbrush, only gets the surface, but the Waterpik Water Flosser cleans the areas brushing misses. To learn more, ask your dental professional about Waterpik.
A migraine hope. To be there for the good and not so good. For the mundane the awe-inspiring, the heart racing, the heartbreaking. That's what life is all about, showing up. Unless migraine steals your chance to say, I am here. That's why we created Aimovig, a preventive treatment for migraine in adults. One dose, once a month. Aimovig is proven to reduce the number of monthly migraine days. For some, that number can be cut in half or more. The most common side effects are pain, redness or swelling at the injection site, and constipation. These are your days. What will each one bring? Doesn't matter, as long as you can say, I am here. Talk to your doctor about preventing migraine with Aimovig and be there more.
Don't go down! Oh, no! Balloon your car. Call me!
A flyby ballooning. Seen it, covered it. We know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Luis? Stephanie? Hola.
Opportunity is everywhere. Like here, where you can explore the world, knowing you can always find your way home.
The Favorite is now nominated for 5 Golden Globe Awards.
Is that not grand?
Including Best Actress Olivia Colman, Best Supporting Actresses Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz, and Best Picture of the Year.
Sometimes a lady likes to have some fun.
The Favorite, rated R.
You think you've seen everything? Let's talk about that when you get here. The United States Virgin Islands.
I used to book my hotel room on those travel sites, but there was always a catch. Like somehow you'd wind up getting less. But now I book at Hilton.com and I get all these great perks. I got to select my room from the floor plan.
Very nice.
I know, I'm good at picking stuff. Free Wi-Fi, laptop by the pool is a bold choice, and the price match guarantee.
How do you know all this? You like some magical Hilton fairy?
It's just here on the Hilton app. Just available to the public, so. Book at Hilton.com and get the Hilton price match guarantee. If you find a lower rate, we match it and give you 25% off that stay.
You make me feel like that.
The new Capital One Saver Card. Earn 4% cash back on dining and 4% on entertainment. Now when you go out, you cash in. What's in your wallet?
Hey, it's me, your dry skin. I'm craving something we're missing. The ceramides in CeraVe. They help restore my natural barrier so I can lock in moisture and keep us protected. We've got to have each other's backs and fronts.
CeraVe, what your skin craves.
Breaking news, the European Court of Justice ruling the UK can cancel Brexit without the permission of the other 27 EU members. It comes one day before members of Parliament are due to vote on British Prime Minister Theresa May's Brexit deal. The proposal is widely expected to be rejected. The BBC is reporting the ruling makes staying in the EU a real viable option and that it might sway some to vote that way. But May and her government, they are firmly behind Brexit.
I can't breathe. The final words of Jamal Khashoggi. A transcript of the audio recording of the murdered journalist's death, seen by a CNN source, also includes the sound of Khashoggi's body being dismembered by a bone saw. CNN's Nick Robertson live in London this morning with his exclusive reporting. Nick, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Dave. What happens as soon as Khashoggi walks into that Saudi consulate in Istanbul at the beginning of October, he recognizes somebody in there, a former diplomat and intelligence official who works for the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. And he says, what are you doing here? And that official, Maher Abdulaziz Matreb, says, you're coming back. And Khashoggi says, well, I can't do that. There are people waiting for me outside. And immediately he is jumped upon by a group of people. He can be heard saying, I can't breathe, which completely exposes what Saudi officials have said before was Khashoggi's accidental, unfortunate killing, that somehow he was choked to death, very clearly is heard saying, I can't breathe, never given an opportunity to speak at all. But what becomes even more chilling is what happens next. He can be heard to scream, he can be heard to gasping, as at the same time noises are recorded on the transcript like saw and cutting. What we hear is from another identified person in that room, the Saudi forensic expert, who says to the other people in the room, if you don't like what you're hearing, do put your earplugs in or listen to music like me. Transcript also indicates that that former diplomat, the one working for the Crown Prince, makes a phone call, several phone calls it is believed, to somebody that Turkish sources have identified as being in the Royal Saudi Court, saying the job is done. It's done. Now, Saudi officials have said that they've seen the transcript, listened to the recording, and they say there's no evidence of a phone call. And a Saudi source close to the Saudi investigation, says that both those identified Saudi officials say they did not make a phone call. A lot more to come on there.
Yeah, and Marco Rubio telling Jake Tapper yesterday, we don't need direct evidence. We have it, in a sense. Nick Robertson live for us this morning in London. Thanks.
Embattled French President Emmanuel Macron meeting right now with political and business leaders, local officials, and unions. Later today, he will address the nation, calling for national unity. Macron's speech following a fourth weekend of sometimes violent protests that drew 136,000 demonstrators on Saturday alone. For the latest on the crisis engulfing French society, let's turn to senior European correspondent Jim Bitterman. He's live for us in Paris. Good morning to you. So these protesters originally were out there for higher gas prices. Now it's sort of encompassing an overall the cost of living is too high. What actually can Macron do in short order to remedy this?
Well, that's a good question, Allison. One of the things that the commentator said this morning, you can't expect to pay less in taxes and get more out of the government. It just doesn't work that way. So one of the things that they're talking about is to further tax the internet giants like Google, Amazon, and Facebook, which the finance minister here says those companies have used European rules to pay 14% less tax than the medium and small business owners here. So that's one of the things they're going to do, is go out and look for other sources of tax revenue in 2019. At the same time, the people out on the street, to get them off the streets, are going to be expecting from this speech tonight some concrete measures. And some of the things that are being talked about is an abolishment, it's already been talked about to some extent, of property taxes and a bonus of €1,000 or more to people for assistance in aiding their buying power. So just an outright gift, essentially, of €1,000 to every French person. So it's those kind of things, but they're very costly in terms of the government budget-making process.
We will see when Emmanuel Macron speaks, if he is able to calm some of that anger we are seeing on the streets. Jim Bitterman, thanks so much.
All right, ahead, they're calling it the Miami Miracle, but not in New England. Andy Scholes has the incredible ending next in the Bleacher Report.
Update your floors with Empire Today's $50 room sale. Buy one room, get floors for all other rooms for just $50 each. So when you buy one room, it's only $50 for laminate in the kitchen, $50 for carpet in the bedroom, and $50 for hardwood in the office. There's no limit. Buy one room and it's $50 for floors in each additional room. Schedule now.
800-588-2300 Empire.
Today. Okay, everyone. Our mission is to provide complete balanced nutrition for strength and energy.
Great tasting Ensure with 9 grams of protein and 26 vitamins and minerals. Ensure, now up to 30 grams of protein for strength and energy.
I wanted more from my COPD medicine. That's why I've got the power of 1, 2, 3 medicines in Trelegy. The only FDA-approved 3-in-1 COPD treatment.
Trelegy, the power of 1, 2, 3. Trelegy, 1, 2, 3. Trelegy.
With Trelegy and the power power of 1, 2, 3, I'm breathing better. Trelegy works 3 ways: to open airways, keep them open, and reduce inflammation for 24 hours of better breathing.
Trelegy won't replace a rescue inhaler for sudden breathing problems. Trelegy is not for asthma. Tell your doctor if you have a heart condition or high blood pressure before taking it. Do not take Trelegy more than prescribed. Trelegy may increase your risk of thrush, pneumonia, and osteoporosis. Call your doctor if worsened breathing, chest pain, mouth or tongue swelling, problems urinating, vision changes, or eye pain occur.
Think your COPD medicine is doing enough? Maybe you should think again. Ask your doctor about once daily Trelegy and the power of 1, 2, 3.
Trelegy, 1, 2, 3.
Save at Trelegy.com.
Introducing Levion Links of Love, only at Jared. Explore our entire Levion collection at Jared.com. Dare to be devoted.
The zip code you're born into can determine your future. Your school, your job, your dreams, your problems. But at the Y, we create opportunities for everyone, no matter who you are or where you're from. For a better us, donate to your local Y today.
Phil Swift here. This holiday season, get everyone on your shopping list the Flex Seal family of products. I'm delivering a lot of Flex Seal this holiday, so I turned the boat into a flying sleigh. Yeah! Make everyone happy. Give them the Flex Seal family of products. Ho, ho, ho!
Are you ready for it? Yeah! It's like CNN gone wild. TMI. Too much.
You don't want to cancel your plans. Cancel your cold. The one-pill power of new Advil multi-symptom cold and flu knocks out your worst symptoms. Cancel your cold, not your plans. New Advil multi-symptom cold and flu.
It's just a cough. Yeah, right. And the earth is flat.
Treat your cough seriously with Robitussin CF Max. Nothing lasts longer and treats more symptoms for your cough, cold, and flu. Robitussin, because it's never just a cough.
The job boards I used to use delivered tons of the wrong resumes. Those sites were, well, not smart. Then there's Smart. ZipRecruiter helps me find people with the right skills, education, and experience for my job, then actively invites them to apply. So I get qualified candidates fast. No wonder ZipRecruiter is rated #1 by employers in the U.S.
ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/reach.
Anderson Cooper 360, tonight at 8 Eastern on CNN.
Miami Dolphins beating the Patriots on the final play of the game yesterday in what's being called the Miami Miracle. Everywhere but New England. Andy Scholes here with the Bleach Report. Good morning, buddy.
Yeah, good morning, Dave. You know, this was by far the most exciting Sunday of the NFL season. There were just so many games that came down to the final moments, and Dolphins and Patriots fans, they're going to remember this one for a very long time. Miami down 5, 7 seconds left. They go with the old hook and ladder play, and they eventually get it to running back Kenyon Drake. He makes a couple moves, and then is going to be able to get to the outside. Only man left to beat was Gronk, who was on the field for a potential Hail Mary. Why, I'm not sure, because Ryan Tannehill wasn't going to throw that ball 75 yards. Dolphins shocked the Patriots 34-33, and the Miami Miracle keeping the team's playoff hopes alive.
The way it ended, I mean, it sucked. I mean, never really been a part of anything like that. I feel like it's going to test our character big time.
All right, Steelers and Raiders also playing a thriller. Pittsburgh also using a hook and ladder play to get into field goal position with just seconds left on the clock. But then check out what happened. Kicker Chris Boswell, when lining up to kick it, is going to slip. The 40-yard field goal, no good. Raiders shocked the Steelers 24-21. Pittsburgh now lost 3 in a row, and they got to play the Patriots next week. All right, Cowboys and Eagles battle for the NFC East, coming down to overtime. In the extra period, Dak Prescott to Amari Cooper, tipped, but Cooper able to still grab it, take it in to win the game. Cooper, 217 yards receiving, 3 touchdowns. Jerry Jones now looking like a genius for trading a first-round pick for Cooper. Cowboys get their 5th win in a row, 29-23. And finally, the Bears' vaunted defense just getting after it last night against the first-place Rams. Chicago picking off Jared Goff 4 times in this game. The lone touchdown in this one caught by an offensive lineman. Mitch Trubisky to Bradley Sowell. And check out the big man. Had those dance moves ready. Bears win 15-6. And Dave Solon, 7-year veteran, first touchdown catch, first catch of his career. I was wondering how long he's had that dance ready to celebrate making a catch.
I'm not sure. It wasn't pretty, but hey, Chicago could win the Super Bowl, man. If you can hold the Rams without a touchdown, it's going to be a fascinating race.
Khalil Mack in that defense. Yep.
All right, Andy Schultz, thank you, my friend. Allison, over to you.
All right, thanks. Federal prosecutors implicating President Trump in a crime. How Democrats are responding.
Salonpas. We're the world leader in medicinal pain patches.
Our latest innovation, Salonpas Lidocaine, using hydrogel-based technology with the maximum strength lidocaine
you can buy without a prescription.
Salonpas Lidocaine. Nothing is proven stronger or more effective against pain.
You okay there, Kurt?
We're about to move.
Karate helps relieve some of the house buying stress. At least you don't have to worry about homeowners insurance. Call Geico. Geico? Helps with homeowners insurance? Been doing it for years. I'm calling Geico right now.
Good idea.
Get to know Geico and see how easy homeowners and renters insurance can be.
If you live with diabetes, why fingerstick when you can scan? With the Freestyle Libre 14-day system, just scan the sensor with your reader or iPhone and manage your diabetes. With the Freestyle Libre 14-day system, a continuous glucose monitor, you can check your glucose levels anytime without fingersticks. Ask your doctor to write a prescription for the new Freestyle Libre 14-day system. You can do it without fingersticks. Learn more at freestylelibre.us.
Yeah, you can get a mortgage that avoids PMI, but there's no way to avoid MIP.
Hey! This will help. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans makes the complex simple.
There's also origination fees. And
this takes care of it, thank you.
Understand the details and get approved in as few as 8 minutes.
After transforming to meet the challenges of a digital world, never stop. After engineering 3D imaging technologies that help doctors quickly diagnose disease, never stop. And after advancing drug delivery technology expertise to help in the fight against cancer, never stop. And we'll never stop improving the future by building on our core innovations and over 80 years of experience. Never stop. Fujifilm, value from innovation.
Online dating? I know people meet that way, but where would I even begin?
Open laptop? Go to OurTime.com. Look for free. It's easy to take a look on Our Time, the fastest growing dating site for people over 50.
Hi, I just wanted to tell you that Chevy won a J.D. Power Dependability Award for its midsize car, the Chevy Malibu. I forgot, Chevy also won a J.D. Power Dependability Award for its light-duty truck, the Chevy Silverado. Oh, and since the Chevy Equinox and Traverse also won, Chevy is the only brand to earn the J.D. Power Dependability Award across cars, trucks, and SUVs 3 years in a row. Third time's a charm.
What if numbers tell only half the story? At T. Rowe Price, our experts go beyond the numbers to examine investment opportunities firsthand, like e-commerce spurring cardboard demand, the pursuit of allergy-free peanuts, and mobile payment reaching new markets. This is strategic investing, because your investments deserve the full story. T. Rowe Price. Invest with confidence.
I don't want to go home alone.
Polo Red, the men's fragrance by Ralph Lauren.
The Dangote Group stands at the forefront of African enterprise. Since 1978, we've touched the lives of millions of people by meeting their basic needs. Our belief in the promise of Africa has taken us into 14 African countries, with substantial investments that will propel the continent towards greater prosperity, promising jobs, improved standards of living, and economic growth. Dangote, for an empowered Africa.
What does help for heart failure look like? It looks like this. Entresto is a heart failure pill that helped keep people alive and out of the hospital. Don't take Entresto if pregnant. It can cause harm or death to an unborn baby. Don't take Entresto with an ACE inhibitor or aliskiren, or if you've had angioedema with an ACE or ARB. The most serious side effects are angioedema, low blood pressure, kidney problems, or high blood potassium. Ask your doctor about Entresto.
The beat goes on.
Yeah.
He may be the first president in quite some time to face the real prospect of jail time.
President Trump dipping into his playbook of distraction and denial as the Mueller investigation ramps up.
President Trump is looking for a new chief of staff to replace John Kelly, but why is his top pick passing on the job?
I can't breathe. The final words of Jamal Khashoggi. What else transcripts reveal about his murder?
Go Miami, an incredible play by the Miami Dolphins, how they pulled off a win with no time left on the clock. And welcome back to Early Start. I'm Allison Cossack. Good morning.
Good morning. Lateral damage, reads the Boston Herald this morning. I'm Dave Briggs. 31 minutes after the hour, we're live in London and in Paris straight ahead, but we start in D.C., where the White House operating under entirely new circumstances this week, now that the Justice Department has clearly implicated the president in a crime. Prosecutors in New York say the president directed his former lawyer, Michael Cohen, to break campaign finance laws, making illegal hush payments to two women who claimed they had affairs with Mr. Trump. The special counsel's team revealed new contacts between Trump associates in Russia, including a Russian national offering government-level political synergy. Mueller's team also explained they dropped their plea agreement with former campaign chairman Paul Manafort because he lied about contacts with a Russian intelligence official.
In this new environment, Democrats are no longer quite as cautious about using the I word, impeachment.
They would be impeachable offenses. Whether they are important enough to justify an impeachment is a different question, but certainly they'd be impeachable offenses.
The president has now stepped into the same territory that ultimately led to President Nixon resigning the office. President Nixon was an unindicted co-conspirator.
The Washington Post reporting that anxiety is spiking among Republicans. They worry the White House has no real plan to deal with the accelerating Mueller probe. CNN's Sarah Westwood has more from the White House.
Well, Dave and Allison, the president spent this weekend going after the Paris Climate Accords, railing against his former FBI director, calling for an end to the Russia investigation, and basically talking about anything other than prosecutors claiming in court filings submitted Friday that the president directed his former attorney, Michael Cohen, to make a pair of illegal payments during the presidential race. Now, Trump has attempted to tout these latest documents as vindication because they didn't contain evidence of Russian collusion, but they did link the president directly to payments that he initially denied knowledge of. That's those payments to two women who tried to come forward during the presidential election with allegations of affairs. Now, all of this comes against the backdrop of a major staff shakeup. The president announced Saturday that John Kelly, his White House chief of staff, would be leaving the administration by the end of the year. And his first choice for that job, Nick Ayers, the current chief of staff to Vice President Mike Pence, will also be leaving the administration after nearly accepting the role as Kelly's replacement. Our colleague Caitlin Collins reports that Ayers and Trump had discussed the prospect of Pence's chief of staff replacing Kelly, but Ayers wanted to do it on a temporary basis, and the president wanted a 2-year commitment from Ayers. Now, CNN is told that the president is considering 4 names to replace Kelly. One of them may be Republican Congressman Mark Meadows. He's a close ally of the president's on Capitol Hill. And CNN is also told that the president aims to make this decision by the end of the year. David, Allison.
All right, Sarah Westwood, thank you. Joining us now, Princeton University professor and historian Julian Zelzer, a CNN political analyst. Good to see you, sir.
Good morning.
As you might imagine, There's a tweet for that on chiefs of staff, and here's one from President Trump, then Donald Trump, back in 2012. 3 chiefs of staff in less than 3 years of being president, part of the reason why Barack Obama can't manage to pass his agenda.
Now he gets to look in the mirror.
There is always a tweet for that. But what does it tell you that a 36-year-old rising star in this White House, Nick Ayers, does not want the most influential job in Washington, instead wants to depart the White House?
Look, I don't know his personal reasons, but it suggests to me people see a moment of danger to enter into the inner circle of the White House. It's like jumping into a fire. He sees the Democrats are coming to the House of Representatives as the majority. He sees the Mueller report, and I think people are, I'm sure, worried about doing this.
He wants to preserve his future, perhaps. And Mark Meadows, all in on Trumpism. He is the reported favorite of the president. We'll see how that goes. The House Freedom Caucus has been very supportive of this president.
Absolutely. So, and with the release of these court filings, there are all these new revelations, and the talk of impeachment is really ratcheted up over the weekend. We heard from Senator Angus King from Maine about what would happen if the president is impeached. We also heard from Jim Comey. Listen.
I hope Donald Trump is not removed from office by impeachment, because it would let the country off the hook. And it would drive into the fabric of our nation a third of the people believing there was a coup.
My concern is that if impeachment is moved forward on the evidence that we have now, at least a third of the country would think it was just political revenge and a coup against the president. That wouldn't serve us well at all. The best way to solve a problem like this, to me, is elections.
But the reality is, in about 3 weeks, Congress is going to be reconvening, and the House taken over by the Democrats. What are they going to do with this?
We'll see what's in the report. We don't actually know, and that's where King is not, being totally honest with the facts. As of now, we know some of the story, but the question is what happens when Mueller's report comes out. If it is bad enough, and this is what some Democrats are saying, then they have a responsibility as the majority to start an inquiry. And that's how these all start. When Nixon's inquiry started, there were many Republicans who said, this is going to be a coup. This is all partisan. But by August of 1974, they were going to the president and saying, time's up. So we need to do this slowly, but now House Democrats are seriously talking about it.
Republicans were with Nixon until the very bitter end.
Yeah, let's not forget that.
And some interesting reporting about the backdrop of all this, the GOP anxiety in the Washington Post ahead of this Mueller report and how the White House will fight back against it. And a fascinating quote from Steve Bannon, old White House friend, says the Democrats are going to weaponize the Mueller report, and the president needs a team that can go to the mattresses. Straight up Godfather reference there. The president can't trust the GOP to be there when it counts. They don't feel any sense of duty or responsibility to stand with Trump. That part is particularly fascinating. And you write about this in a CNN.com piece. You ask, will the Republican Party turn on Trump? What evidence is there that anyone in this Senate Republican Party, as we know, will turn on the president, and where do you think the line is?
So far, there's zero evidence. They have stood by the president, and that's still the bet. But the midterms changed everything, because Republicans are now seeing they can lose. They kept the Senate, but they were devastated in the House. So what turns? The only thing that can turn them is, are they going to lose their power? This is about partisanship. In partisanship, you are not loyal to the person, you are loyal to the party. So the calculation we're watching is, do Republicans start to think, if we keep standing by this president, come 2020, we're not going to have the White House, we won't have the House, and maybe we would lose the Senate. That's when the president becomes vulnerable.
And those contingency plans start being drawn up and acted upon.
And don't forget, you have a Vice President Pence, who originally was insurance against the Democrats, but you could imagine all of a sudden some Republicans say, well, that's not so bad. He's a very conservative Republican, and he can be the hero for 220. So I can imagine scenarios when the report comes out that this doesn't play out as nicely as President Trump is hoping for.
But we can agree, it would have to go beyond campaign finance.
Oh,
yes?
much more.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay, I agree with that. Julian Zelzer, good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the New York Times reporting President Trump's son-in-law and senior advisor Jared Kushner offered Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman advice on how to, quote, weather the storm after the murder of Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi. White House protocols require that National Security Council staff be present on all phone calls with foreign leaders. But the Times reports Kushner and MBS continued chatting informally following the Washington Post columnist and U.S. resident's death. In a statement, a White House spokesman telling the Times, quote, Jared has always meticulously followed protocols and guidelines regarding the relationship with MBS and all of the foreign officials with whom he interacts.
I can't breathe. Those are the final words of Jamal Khashoggi. A transcript of the audio recording of the murdered journalist's death seen by a CNN source also includes the sound of Khashoggi's body being dismembered by a saw. CNN's Nick Robertson joining us live now from London with his exclusive reporting. Good morning, Nick.
Yeah, Alison, the details here are horrific. What they also tell us very clearly is that the Saudi narrative so far on Jamal Khashoggi's killing is not accurate. They said that his death was accidental, that it was a tragic mistake. So what happened? Khashoggi walks into the consulate, immediately recognizes a former Saudi diplomat working for the Crown Prince. That former diplomat says to Khashoggi, you're coming back. He says, I can't do that, and says, people are waiting for me outside. And immediately, no discussion, no anything, people in that room jump on him. And it's right after that Khashoggi can be heard several times saying, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. Again, the Saudis had indicated that he was accidentally choked. That was one of the narratives at one point. Clearly, the transcript indicates something entirely different. Then it gets worse. Then you can hear Khashoggi scream. He screams at least twice. Then he can be heard gasping. And at the same time, other noises are going on. There are other voices talking. And the sound that's recorded is of cutting and a saw. And the forensic doctor that's in that room tells the people in the room, if you don't like what you're hearing, put in your earplugs or do what I'm doing, listen to music. Also, that diplomat, according to the transcript, has a conversation where he says, tell yours, meaning your boss, it's done, the thing is done. The interpretation is that that was a phone call, and according to Turkish sources, that was a phone call going to the Crown Prince's office. Now, Saudi officials that we've contacted have said they've seen the transcript and listened to the recording, and there is no phone call. And a Saudi source close to the Saudi investigation says that the two men that we've talked about here, the forensic doctor and the former diplomat, both working for the Crown Prince, deny that they made any phone calls. As we heard over the weekend from Senator Lindsey Graham, there is a ton of intelligence linking that team to the Crown Prince.
Just horrific. Thanks so much for your reporting, Nick Robertson.
All right, ahead, French President Emmanuel Macron meeting right now with political and business leaders and unions after a fourth weekend of violent protests. We go live to Paris for the latest. Next.
We're transforming this home to show the new Keurig K-Cafe brewer is so easy, it makes any house a coffee house. Whiskey's Coffee House is open! It couldn't be simpler. Just pop that in for a coffee, or brew a shot and froth fresh milk for a latte or cappuccino. So easy.
Delicious. Really good.
Well, how much do you spend on coffee drinks?
$20 a week.
Ooh, that's a latte money.
This will save me so much money.
2 cordoncinos. Like a cappuccino.
I got
just
it.
a little bit sweeter.
Got it.
All right. Bring the love, people! Not a bad first day.
Over the last 24 hours, you've finished preparing him for college. In 24 hours, you'll send him off thinking you've done everything for his well-being. But meningitis B progresses quickly and can be fatal, sometimes within 24 hours. While meningitis B is uncommon, about 1 in 10 infected will die. Like millions of others, your teen may not be vaccinated against meningitis B. Meningitis B strikes quickly. Be quick to talk to your teen's doctor about a meningitis B vaccine.
For powerful suction, you need a Shark. With 2 swappable batteries at maximum suction, the Shark INF80 has more runtime than the Dyson V10 Absolute. Or choose the upright model for whole home cleaning, only from Shark.
Building a better bank starts with looking at something old and saying, really? So Capital One is building something completely new. Capital One Cafes. Inviting places with people here to help you, not sell you. And savings and checking accounts with no fees or minimums, because that's how it should be. You can open one from right here or anywhere in 5 minutes. Seriously, 5 minutes. This is Banking Reimagined. What's in your wallet?
AT&T provides edge-to-edge intelligence covering virtually every part of your retail business, so that if your customer needs shoes and he's got wide feet, and with edge-to-edge intelligence, you've got near real-time inventory updates, and he'll find the same shoes in your store that he found online, he'll be one happy, very forgetful, wide-footed customer. AT&T provides edge-to-edge intelligence. It can do so much for your business, the list goes on and on. That's the power of and. And if your customer also forgets socks, and you could say...
Charmin Ultra Soft.
It's softer than ever. Charmin Ultra Soft is softer than ever, so it's harder to resist.
Okay, this is getting a little weird.
Enjoy the go with Charmin.
We are rebellious, trendsetters, one of a kind. We are what we wear. American Style, coming in January on CNN.
Take Prilosec OTC and take control of heartburn. So you don't have to stash antacids here, or here. Kick your antacid habit with Prilosec OTC. 1 pill a day, 24 hours, zero heartburn.
Welcome to Tide Pods Talk with Gronk. I'm Gronk. These are Tide Pods. This is not. Even this entire bottle can't beat Tide Pods. To recap, Tide Pods. If it's clean, it's got to be Tide.
Racing isn't the only thing on my mind. And with GoDaddy, I'm making my ideas real. When I created my business, I needed a way to showcase it. With GoDaddy, you can get a website to sell online, and it will look good. I made my own way. Now it's time to make yours. Get started at GoDaddy.com.
Just like it should.
Closed captioning brought to you by InventHelp. Call 1-800-709-5582.
Do you have an idea for an invention or new product? Do you think companies would be interested in your idea? Do you want to try to get a patent? Then call InventHelp now for free information.
Breaking news, the European Court of Justice ruling the UK can cancel Brexit without the permission of the other 27 EU members. This comes one day before members of Parliament are due to vote on British Prime Minister Theresa May's Brexit deal. The proposal widely expected to be rejected. The BBC reports the ruling makes staying in the EU a real viable option, and that it might sway some to vote that way. But May and her government are firmly behind Brexit.
Embattled French President Emmanuel Macron meeting right now with political and business leaders, local officials and unions. Later today, he will address the French people calling for national unity. Macron's speech following a fourth weekend of sometimes violent protests that drew 136,000 demonstrators on Saturday alone. For the latest on the crisis engulfing French society, let's turn to senior European correspondent Jim Bitterman, who's live for us in Paris. Good morning to you. You know, these protesters insist that the cost of living there is just too high. But what can Macron do at this point to get some order in the streets?
Well, Allison, that's the big question here. What can he do? Because as some of the headline writers are saying, his back is against the wall. It's make or break time for the president. Here's what Les Echos said this morning, the Gilets jaunes, what Macron's preparing to get out of this crisis. Everybody would like to know what he's going to say tonight that can possibly resolve this situation. Basically, this is a shadow over the next 3.5 years of his presidency. One of the reasons I say it's make or break time, because he came into office on a platform of reforming France, both economically but also socially. And so the question is, can he continue those reforms if he starts giving in, as he's expected to this evening, or at least as those Gilets jaunes are insisting? So we'll have to see. But not all of these measures involve economics and money. In fact, some of them, like, for instance, in the schools, were just a way that they've reformed the school systems. And this morning, there are dozens of schools that are blocked by students who are against the kind of reforms that he made to the educational system. Allison?
Make or break time for Macron. Let's see how he does in his speech. Jim Bitterman live for us in Paris. Thank you. Let's get a check on CNN Business this morning. Global stocks are down amid continuing trade tensions. In Asia, the Nikkei down 2%, the Shanghai down almost 1%, the Hang Seng fell 1%. We're looking at European markets. The DAX in Germany is down below 1% as trading opens there. We're seeing the FTSE in London down a bit, and the CAC in Paris is off about 0.5%. On Wall Street, we are seeing futures down after heavy selling on Friday. Those worries about the U.S.-China trade war capping off a brutal week on Wall Street. The Dow fell 559 points on Friday. The Nasdaq closed down 3%. The S&P 500 fell 2%. The Dow fell over 1,100 points just that week, last week. It was the index's worst week since March of this year. OPEC and its allies reaching a deal to slash oil production Friday despite pressure from President Trump to keep pumping. The cuts will remove 1.2 million barrels a day from world markets. U.S. crude prices spiked almost 5% to $54 a barrel after the news. And members of OPEC pledged to reduce their production by 800,000 barrels per day for 6 months beginning in January. Russia and other producers outside the cartel promising to cut an additional 400,000 barrels per day. The deal should help eliminate excess supply. Right now, the U.S. is pumping at record levels and recently surpassed Russia and Saudi Arabia as the world's biggest oil producer for the first time since 1973. Carlos Ghosn and Nissan were indicted Monday on allegations of financial misconduct. That's according to Japanese media. Japanese public broadcaster NHK Tokyo says prosecutors indicted Ghosn and Nissan for underreporting his income. In a press release, Nissan said this, quote, making false disclosures in annual securities reports greatly harms the integrity of Nissan's public disclosures in the securities markets, and the company expresses its deepest regret. Ghosn was arrested last month in Tokyo. He's since been removed as chairman of Nissan and Mitsubishi and temporarily replaced as head of Francis Renault. Ghosn has not yet responded publicly to the allegations, but those allegations are mounting.
Yeah, they're not good. All right, ahead. They're calling it the Miami Miracle, but not in New England. That was the ending. You won't believe the middle. That's coming up on Early Start.
I'm Ray, and I quit smoking with Chantix. Smoking, it dictates your day. I didn't like something having control over me. I wanted to stop. The thing is I didn't know how.
Chantix, along with support, helps you quit smoking.
Chantix reduced my urge to smoke, and to the point that I could quit.
When you try to quit smoking, with or without Chantix, you may have nicotine withdrawal symptoms. Some people had changes in behavior or thinking, aggression, hostility, agitation, depressed mood, or suicidal thoughts or actions with Chantix. Serious side effects may include seizures, new or worse heart or blood vessel problems, sleepwalking, or allergic and skin reactions, which can be life-threatening. Stop Chantix and get help right away if you have any of these. Tell your healthcare provider if you've had depression or other mental health problems. Decrease alcohol use while taking Chantix. Use caution when driving or operating machinery. The most common side effect is nausea.
For me, Chantix worked. Boom. End of story.
Talk to your doctor about Chantix.
Opportunity is everywhere. Like here, where nothing stands between you and your best friends.
This is my Paris. Follow me.
Mon Paris, the feminine fragrance. Yves Saint Laurent.
I always felt that my comedy was just to make things be all right.
It's the story of my life.
Today is the day you're going to get motivated, get stronger, get closer. Start listening today to the world's largest selection of audiobooks on Audible. And now, get more. For just $14.95 a month, you'll get a credit a month good for any audiobook, plus 2 Audible originals, exclusive titles you can't find anywhere else. If you don't like a book, you can exchange it anytime. No questions asked. Automatically roll your credits over to the next month if you don't use them. With the free Audible app, you can listen anytime and anywhere. Plus, for the first time ever, you'll get access to exclusive fitness programs. A $95 value, free with membership. Start a 30-day trial today and your first audiobook is free. Cancel anytime and your books are yours to keep forever. Audible, the most inspiring minds, the most compelling stories. Text LISTEN12 to 500-500 to start your free trial today.
This is CNN, the most trusted name in news.
Go big this holiday at T-Mobile. When you buy one of the latest Samsung phones, you get a free 50-inch Samsung 4K TV.
Holy, gotta be kidding.
Seriously? Seriously.
No!
Get to a T-Mobile store today.
It's a feeling that's hard to describe. And even harder to forget. The United States Virgin Islands.
The Favorite is now nominated for the Golden Globe Award for Best Picture of the Year.
You have intrigued me.
It's more pure, devious fun than any other great movie this year.
Oh, I did not know that.
The Favorite, rated R.
Dare to be devoted. Jared. Dare to make her melt this holiday and earn $200 in Jared rewards for every $500 you spend on jewelry. Now through December 9th, only at Jared.
Oklahoma University quarterback Kyler Murray apologizing just hours after winning the Heisman Trophy for using homophobic language on Twitter in 2011. In the tweets, Murray mockingly used the word queer or queers. Many of the offensive tweets have since been deleted. Murray said this on Sunday: "I apologize for the tweets that have come to light tonight from when I was 14 and 15. I used a poor choice of word that doesn't reflect who I am or what I believe." Though he's obviously a very talented quarterback, Murray's future may actually be in Major League Baseball. He was drafted 9th overall this year by the Oakland A's and is scheduled to report to spring training in February.
Call it the Miami Miracle, just not in New England. The Dolphins shocking the Patriots on the final play of the game Sunday. Turns out to be a 69-yard pass and double lateral play that gave the Dolphins an improbable, impossible 34-33 win over New England. What an ending. Hard to believe that Kenyon Drake found the end zone. Rob Gronkowski in that game to defend against a Hail Mary. No one thought this would be a Hail Mary. Strange to see the Patriots get arguably out-coached when that is their strength of all strengths. But what a Sunday it was in the NFL.
The latest schedules to rock the White House and President Trump, giving Saturday Night Live plenty of material to work with. Watch.
Federal prosecutors said Friday that Michael Cohen committed 2 election-related crimes at the direction of a person identified as Individual 1. Now, we don't know for sure who Individual 1 is, but let's just say things are getting tense right now over at Individual 1 Tower.
Trump is now calling for an end to the Mueller probe, which I gotta admit, it's worth a shot. I mean, you don't want to go to jail and then find out you could have just called it off the whole time.
President Trump announced today that John Kelly, his chief of staff, is leaving the position at the end of the year because Kelly requires extensive surgery to remove his palm from his face. That's how awful it is to work in the Trump White House, by the way. John Kelly spent 40 years in the Marines. He did 3 tours in Iraq, and he couldn't finish 1 tour with Donald Trump.
It will be a fascinating parlor game. Who replaces John Kelly with Nick Ayers, 36 years old, doesn't want the job. Well, not interested in this 2-year commitment that we